and gentlemen, this contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the Big Albowski. That is Professor Keith. As always, joining us is the one, the only, the referee of all referees in independent wrestling, especially in the Pennsylvania area, Zack Carlucci. What's up, my man?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely, man. And before we dive into you, we have some solemn news to report. And Professor Keith, if you will, we had two passings in the world of professional wrestling this week.
Yes, we have, pretty close on the heels of each other. Of course, referee Dave Hebner, longtime official with WWE. If you're more of my age group, you probably grew up more with Earl, but Dave started out there. Earl, his twin brother, came in. They were with WWE for a long time, refereed for the NWA for years before that. Unfortunately, had a pretty acrimonious breakup with WWE in 2005. The business was everything to Dave Hebner, as his brother Earl pointed out. And very sad to see him pass. Of course, I just read about half an hour ago before we went on the air that referee Tim White also passed away. Longtime WWE official, transitioned to a road agent after a shoulder injury in a Hell in a Cell match between Chris Jericho and Triple H. Legendary for being Andre the Giant's personal manager and road agent. Throughout the latter half of his career, making sure his travel and everything was more more comfortable as it could be for someone with Andre's size and, his maladies. Really sad stuff, obviously. Two guys I grew up watching. I know Al grew up watching. I'm sure Zach did too. Maybe even influences that got Zach interested in being a referee in the first place. We'll dive into that. But we definitely send out our condolences to their family, to their friends, and to their fans. We're grieving with you. Sad way to start off the show, especially since it's Father's Day, and I do want to wish a happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Yes, happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. And yes, I couldn't say that better. Dave Hebner, I distinctly remember the main event match with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant for the title. It was a title match where if Andre won, he was going to hand the belt to Ted DiBiase. And, the referee for that match was Earl Hebner. And the thing of the matter is when Hulk Hogan turned around, two referees, because we had not seen them together in the same place. So we did, we had not seen them together. So like the fans were shocked. There was two Hebner referees, and yeah, it was Dave and Earl. And as far as Tim White goes, I'm glad you mentioned Andre the Giant, because yeah, he was a great friend to Andre the Giant. He's in every Andre the Giant documentary. They preyed upon Tim White for his knowledge, because nobody knew more about Andre the Giant or spent more time with Andre the Giant. So yeah, again, our condolences to the families. But we are here live with a very much alive and very unretired referee, Zack Carlucci. So, Zack,
there's that word again.
There it is again. Yes, I've been preyed upon by a few of your friends to ask about your Italian accent.
Oh no.
You know exactly what that means. But that aside, I mean, if you want to talk about that, fine. But that aside, what made you fall in love with wrestling in the first place? Because you wouldn't be a referee or any part of the business if you didn't love it. And that's the one thing that we've met all these people have in common is they love professional wrestling. So why do you love professional wrestling?
Well, the bug bit me when I was in middle school. I grew up in Chester, Pennsylvania, which is in Delaware County. So it's about 6 minutes south of Philadelphia. So growing up in that area, of course, we had WWF programming because we were in the Northeast. And my best friend, Anthony, he had cable. He had a cable station on his cable called Prism. And Prism used to broadcast the house shows from the Philadelphia Spectrum every month before Vince came in and put a kibosh on all that. So I would go over to his house to watch wrestling, and I can't tell you what it was. It just caught me from that moment on. And I remember while watching it, you know, and I'm sure you've heard this from other people that you've interviewed. Wrestling has this ability to just make you forget problems, makes you forget life.
Absolutely.
Not that I had a bad life. I had a great life, had a great childhood, but it was a nice escape. And I've been in love with professional wrestling ever since. I never wanted to be a wrestler. For some reason, I gravitated towards the referee. And the reason why is because, and I guess you really can't understand this unless you're a referee, or maybe you can, I don't know. But whenever at the end of a match, especially when a title changes hands, and you hear the roar of the crowd and the referee holds the belt and he's getting ready to present the belt to the winner, there was something about that moment when the referee had the belt. That belt championship, I guess you can't call it a belt in the WWE. But that
Yeah, I so much agita about that. So much. Like, we know what it is. Just call it what it is.
Exactly. It's just something about that moment. Referee holding that belt. That belt always fascinated me. I can't tell you why. It just did. And I've been hit with that bug ever since, the wrestling bug. So, and then, you know, the desire to become a referee, that came up later in life. So
how did you become one? I mean, how does one become a professional wrestling referee? Because that's not a story we hear a lot here. We haven't had a lot of referees on. So how did you get started in the first place?
Well, like I said before, the love of professional wrestling has been with me since I was a kid. And it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe early college, that the idea of actually becoming a referee appealed to me. That's when the bug hit me. I had no serious desires to pursue it at that point. I just loved, watching it and just getting into it. Had no idea the independent circuit existed, prior to getting into wrestling. I had no idea all of this was here, and then it wasn't until, I guess it was 2000, maybe 2001. One of my fraternity brothers worked for the Lancaster City newspaper at the time. I think it was the Intelligencer Journal, I believe it was. And he did an article on a wrestling school in Mechanicsburg called drawing a blank, and it was my school, Backbreakers. And so he did an article on this school, and in the article he talked about, the school's beginnings and how they were training referees and wrestlers and ballets and things like that. And he told me about it, and I blew it off. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. fat and out of shape. I can't apply. I can't become a referee. Look at me, you know. And he said, you know, you really should give it a try. And I don't know. I kept blowing it off. But it actually, what pushed me was the death of another fraternity brother. And when he passed, then I sat and I'm like, you know, life is too short. I'm never going to know unless I try. And it was those two catalysts, if you will, that prompted me to contact Backbreakers and attend the tryout. And it was the most physically enduring tryout in my entire life. I don't know how I made it through that tryout, but my fraternity brother Corey was there. He's the one who wrote the article for the newspaper, and he was just encouraging me the entire time. You can do it. You can do it. I'm like, yeah, you're not the one running around the ring, push-ups and run around. But if it wasn't for his encouragement, the encouragement of my wife and family and friends, I would have never made it. But I eventually passed the tryout. This was January of 2001. Had my first match March 17th, 2001 in Marysville. And I've been doing it ever since.
Was that for CCW?
No, that was for World Star Wrestling, which was the promotion that Backbreakers Training Center ran. So it was at the Lions Club in Marysville.
Okay. I got some comments here. Big Dave, a big SWO fan. Good evening, guys. It's the man with the plan to control the chaos in and around the turnbuckle. So grab your favorite goat and enjoy. Ready to hear some great history and stories with Zach. Keith, JCM in the house.
JCM,
big shout outs to JCM. Zach is one of the best referees 3WA has. I will disagree with that. I think he's one of the best referees in independent wrestling, not just 3WA.
That's true.
Hope he refs one of my matches when I return. I hope you return soon. Get well soon,
I do
brother.
too.
So
thank you. I appreciate that.
One of the things, Zach, that I notice, and I'm sure the professor does as well, when you referee a match, you make the fans feel, because we've been front row ringside in a lot of matches that you've refereed, and you make the fans feel that you are damn sure in control in that ring, like you are the authority, you're the boss. Did that come naturally for you, or in the beginning, were you not as authoritative as you are now?
I will tell you that when I first began refereeing, I was not the referee that you see today. How can I put this as politically correct as I can? I sucked. Okay. All right. I was greener than green. I sucked. Okay. I was awful. All right. But everyone starts off that way. And then over the years, you hone.
Oh, we lost him, Keith.
Oh, dear.
It's almost as like he pulled the plug, or like the electricity went out in his house.
Yeah, something.
That was I knew that was going to get him going, because and that's the thing. Well, while we wait for Zach to return, because I'm pretty sure he will.
I hope so. It was just getting good.
Yeah. One of the best things I like about him is that if the wrestlers are either breaking rules, or if they get in his face, he literally steps in between them physically. He's very animated. He yells. He's animated with his counts. If he's counting people out, he's very animated with that. With his 3 counts, I mean, he'll dive across the ring and slide almost out of the ring physically for the one and the 2. All right, he's coming back here, and he's getting more comments from Big Chris Vant and Mark Mess. All Are you back, brother?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, we can
I don't
hear
know
you.
what happened there. It was almost like you got struck by lightning or something.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was my end or what. But, it is what it is. Reminds me of my days when I used to work at WGAL, working in live TV. 1,000 things could go wrong, and you got to keep rolling with it, man.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. So, so you're back, and you were saying, do you remember what you were saying?
Yes. Was I always this commanding and authoritative in the ring?
Yeah.
Short answer, no. When I started out like a lot of people, unsure of yourself, scared. But I did a lot of studying. I watched a lot of matches. I bent the ear of anyone who was willing to give me advice. But you also have to be willing to take that advice. You also have to be willing to take that criticism. And I wanted it because I wanted to be the best referee that I could be. I used to say privately to my family that when it's all said and done and I finally retire from this business, I want my name up there with Tommy Young, with Earl Hebner. That was a personal goal. But they, getting into influences, they were guys that influenced me. So being authoritative in the ring, now it comes easy because with experience, you understand how a wrestling match works. You understand when to push, when to back off. If I'm in the ring and I'm with us, I'm in the ring with Suicide Myers, for example. If he comes towards me, you better start backing up.
Right.
Okay. That's not something you're taught in wrestling school. Okay.
Yeah.
That comes with studying. That comes with watching matches. Okay. You want to stand there when Suicide Myers is coming out, and I love Suicide Myers. That's why I'm using him for an example. If he comes after, if he comes towards you and you're a referee and you don't move, then you take what he gives you,
Mm-hmm. Right, because he's got to protect what he's doing. I always put Myers over on commentary because I know what he's doing. So I always get my little digs in, like Suicide Myers from Haddonfield, Illinois, where nothing bad has ever happened. Great place to be a babysitter. I get something in there like it's funny, but I also try to put over like, man, if Myers gets his hands on you, run.
Yeah.
That is your best defense for anything Myers does. Run. Don't ever let him touch you in the first place. He's a monster. You've got to treat him as a monster. Everybody's got to treat him as a monster, because if you don't treat him as a monster, he's not going to be a monster anymore, and everybody's just going to go, he's just some guy in a goofy mask.
Exactly. But that confidence that we were talking about earlier, how I said earlier, that comes with experience. That also comes with a certain degree of respect. I work, for years, I worked with a lot of these guys, so we all know each other. And there's a mutual respect there, okay? If I'm in the ring with someone for the first time and they are, using Suicide Myers again, for an example, that type of wrestler, the scary wrestler, okay? And you're working with that person for the first time, that wrestler is going to size you up within the first couple minutes of that match, what type of referee you're going to be. Okay. Are you serious? You're going to sit around, you're going to joke or whatever. And he's going to try to test you. And I've had this done. Some wrestlers will try to test you. They'll get up in their face and they'll grab your shirt or push you or whatever, just to see how you react. Okay. How you treat that situation says a lot about you as a referee. Yeah, you can grab me, okay, but I'm gonna let you know that's your one and only free try. You pull that crap again, and I'm ringing that bell, and we're all going home. That's the end of the story. You got to be commanding in the ring. You have to let them know you are in charge, and that only works if there's mutual respect there, and if they take you seriously in the position you're in. How many times have you guys watched matches on the indie circuit? And, I don't need to mention any names, but you see the referee in there, and to me, it just seems like they're just pushing the referee aside, doing whatever they want to do. And I'm like, yeah, you can't do that. You got to stand up. You got to take charge. And it just seems like they just, referee's just there. He's just
all right. I got some comments here. Big Chris Vance here says, "What's up, guys?"
Chris.
Mean Mark Mess says, "This man is one of the top 5 refs I have had the pleasure to be in the ring with. Total class act."
Thank you, sir. Coming from Mark, that is high compliment. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's awesome. JCM says, "Stand by," meaning as far as his return goes, Professor.
I can't wait.
And Chris,
I cannot wait.
Classic Johnny Potter is here. I have nothing but respect for Mr. Carlucci.
Thank you, sir.
And normally he doesn't respect anybody.
He don't respect anybody. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. And Big Chris fan actually has a question for Zach, and that is, do you get respect from the young wrestlers? You just mentioned guys that you work with for the first time. If it's a young wrestler, how do you get respect from them?
Well, once again, I think it's how you conduct yourself in the ring. I don't know if you've ever compared me to other referees, but I've always taught that when you get in the ring, you have to, project that you are. So when I'm walking in the ring, when I'm in the ring, you don't see me walking around, waving to the fan, "Hey, how you doing? Checking this, checking the turn." No, I'm in the corner waiting for the wrestler, waiting for the match to start. And it's about perception, something my dad taught me when I was a kid. It's all about perception. And I think it's that perception that helps me with young wrestlers or with wrestlers I've never worked with before, when I'm talking to them during the match, checking up on them, making sure they're okay. If it looks like a spot didn't go too well or whatever, I can't tell you how many times that, I've worked with new wrestlers and they do a spot, didn't look right. Now we go to check on them. And they're like, yeah, I'm good. We go in the back and I'm like, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm great. Thank you so much for checking on me. I mean, I really appreciate that." That builds trust. Mm-hmm. So I think it all comes together.
Thundercat Greg Winters is here. Professor, happy Father's Day, guys.
Happy Father's Day, Greg.
Happy Father's Day to you, sir, because he has a youngin. Mm-hmm. Always love a good ref, and Zach is definitely that. So,
oh yeah.
So, when we lost you for that quick second, I had mentioned to the professor because we were trying to talk while you were trying to get back. That one of the things I love about you is how when you do a count, if you're counting guys out of the ring, I mean, you are loud and you are animated about it. When you do a 2 count, there's been times where you jump over both wrestlers, slide halfway out the ring to do your 2 count.
Your positioning is amazing.
That is, is that something that you like people to remember you by? Because I've seen you do it so many times. I mean, you literally, a lot of referees back in the day. I remember referees. There were certain referees that would do that. Earl Hebner would do that a lot. Just because he's trying to show everybody, hey, I'm trying to get in position for this count. And if the wrestlers are positioned in a certain way where you can't, you'll slide out the ring and do the count from the outside of the ring almost.
Exactly. I do it just because I can't see both shoulders. And it's just like you said, they're positioned in such a way where the only way I can see both shoulders is to get out of the ring. What's the quickest way to get out of the ring? Baseball slide out of the ring, get into position and make the count so I can see both shoulders,
But you're more athletic than most referees. You do things like that, easily. You've been doing it now for 20 years, and we've seen you on more than one occasion get physically involved with guys pushing you around. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I am blessed in a sense that I am still this physically active at 56. God has blessed me, and I thank Him for that. So, I go to the gym. I'm not out there lifting Buicks or anything like that, but I do cardio. I'm trying to stay in shape. As you get older, it's harder to keep all this together. And I love being active. I love being physically active. I don't want to be one of these referees sit in the corner, count to 3, and that's it. My influences growing up were Tommy Young, NWA referee, Earl Hebner. Okay, these guys influenced me, and you two were astute enough to notice that a lot of my style came from them.
Yeah.
I borrowed that baseball side from Tommy Young. Okay. I saw him do it once and I'm like, I like that. I want to do that. And so I also think it's important, and we've all heard this before, that a good ref can make a good match great or a bad match great. A bad ref can ruin a match. I like to do whatever I can to not make the match better. That's the wrong phrase. I like to do what I can to add to the match, without overshadowing what's important, and that is the match itself and the wrestlers. I like to do what I can to add a little excitement. That 3 counts coming up, and you feel the energy of that crowd, and you're coming down 1, 2, and you're coming down on that 3rd count, and they get that shoulder up at 2.99999. As a wrestling fan, that excites me a lot. As a referee, it excites me, and it scares the hell out of me. Okay. But if you ever notice, and now people probably didn't notice, but they'll probably look for it now. Whenever I have a very close count like that, 2.999, you might hear an audible sound come out of me like, oh, or something like that. That's 90% the wrestling fan, 10% the referee. I'm like, oh my goodness, he got that shoulder up. That's awesome. And years ago, I used to try to suppress that. I'm like, no, I'm a wrestling fan. Why not? I'm leaving it in there because that's me. That's the true me in that second. I love it. In that split second. And why not show it to people? Why not let people know that I am loving this match just as much as they are?
All right, but before we get into some of your most memorable matches that you've refereed, I would like Thundercat says I'd like to have him ref one of my matches. He wrestles primarily in the South, but we're trying to get him up to Pennsylvania. So get up here to Pennsylvania, Greg.
Yeah.
And he'll do that. Story. I also have another question by Big Chris Vant, who says, have you been in matches that had referee interference, and how did you handle that?
So what do you mean by referee interference?
Yeah, I'm not quite.
I think he means where, like, say, and maybe he can clarify it, but I think he means where they physically got involved with you, or you accidentally maybe got hurt and out for a period of time.
The old ref bump, and you have to get the second referee in, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what he means. I was going to answer it for you and say, well, he handles that with a Carlucci stunner. That's pretty much what he's.
Yeah, ask James Winthorpe III about that one.
Oh my God! It's funny about him is that we had him scheduled for an interview, and he said, "I'm only going to give you 15 or 20 minutes, because any more than that will bore them. So we'll get it done in 15 to 20 minutes." And my reply to that was, so you're saying that you could sum up your entire career in 15 minutes? That's what you're saying to me. Okay, I'll take the 15 minutes. The day of his scheduled interview, that morning, he texts me, he says, I got booked to wrestle today. I hope you're not angry. I said, I never get angry when somebody gets booked. Never. You know what I mean? That's great. I get excited. Okay, great. Go wrestle, man. You know what I mean? Because that guy wrestles, 4 or 5 times a month.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He's like, yes, when a wrestler interferes with him, how do you handle that?
Stunner. I've seen
When
it.
a wrestler interferes with me. Like,
Or,
gets
yeah.
physical with me?
Yeah, I think that's what he
Is
means.
that what you mean? I recognize that sometimes emotions can get the best of people. I've never been quick to disqualify a person if they put their hands on me. So I understand that. So normally what I would do in that situation is, depending on what's going on, if they push me, I push them back. And I let them know, listen, don't put your hands on me. Don't get it twisted. I'm the referee. Okay. You put your hands on me again, I'm going to disqualify you. I'll give you that one shot because I know emotions run wild sometimes, run high. So I'll give them that first one for free. I think that's what he's talking about. So that's how I handle it. Yeah. Unless it's blatant. Unless it's a blatant foul.
Shot,
okay.
Right.
Yeah, then I'll disqualify. But yeah.
All right.
Because that may be something that fans don't understand is that, like, yes, you come in there and there's a certain way things are supposed to go, but you need to treat it like an actual contest where there's rules. So if somebody screws up and decides, well, I'm just going to go screw with Zach now and I'm going to put my hands on him or I'm going to, pull his shirt over his head or something stupid like that, you can just sit there and be like, hey, I don't care what the plan was. I'm the credibility here. I'm the enforcer. I can throw this out. And when we get to the back, I'm not getting yelled at for it. You're getting yelled at for it.
Right. And I've done that. I've had to do that. Not often, but I have done that. Yes.
So do you have any stories about some matches that you were really excited to referee because maybe they brought in a household name or something like that, and you got excited to referee those matches? You've been doing it for 20 years. I'm sure you've had a few of those.
Yeah. I've had favorite matches that we can go into, but the one emotional match for me was the match between Merrick Miami and
Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona, thank you. And that was emotional for me for a couple of reasons. One, weeks prior to that match, I suffered a sciatic nerve in my right leg, and I don't know if people are familiar with sciatica, but mine, there are varying degrees of it, but mine was so bad that I couldn't walk. I was in pain. And this is a few weeks leading up to that match. And I had suffered from this in the past, so I knew how long it would take before I got back up and running and I could get back in the gym and start preparing for my next wrestling show. And it's like, there's no way I'm going to be ready for this. But I knew how important that match was to Merrick. I knew how important it was to him. On a personal level, I knew. And I did not want to let him down because he specifically requested me to referee that match.
Right.
And I told my wife, I said, I don't care how I do it. I'm going to get to that match. and I did. Long story short, I did. And personally, it was one of my favorite matches that I've ever officiated. And at the end of that match, it was in try not to break down thinking about it. It was in Quakertown. And at the end of that match, I went out in the hallway and I just broke down. I broke down, and a lot of the guys and the girls were coming up and hugging me. You know, what's going on? And I explained to them, you know, what I had to go through to get here, and I didn't think I was going to get here, and it worked out. It worked out, and I'm glad it did because it was one of my favorite matches, one of my best matches in terms of things that I look for when I officiate a match, things that I want to do. Did I do this? Did I do that? You can always do things better, but did I hit the points that I wanted to do? And the fans loved the match. Did Merrick like the match? You know, did Matt like the match? And everything just came together, and it just made for a very emotional experience for me. So that was the most emotional match I've ever done.
It's amazing to hear that side of it, that, you know, because for Keith and I, we were there, and we've been really invested in Merrick Miami over the past 2 years, watching him go from where he was 2 years ago to where he is now. And we're really excited for him. And, you know, he was so excited and nervous and all the emotions leading up to that match. So it's neat. It's neat to hear that he specifically requested you, and to hear what you had to go through to actually referee that match for him. That's amazing, man. That's awesome. I mean, I never heard a better story than that ever, because I mean, we love the kid. We hope he does. I hope he gets everything out of this business he wants. Yeah. He's still young. He's still young enough to get signed somewhere. And I mean, that would be awesome. So, but I mean, the fact that he got to wrestle his idol, he was Broski of the week, and he got that whole story. And then he told us after the fact of how great Matt was with him, and how Matt gave him advice, and how when they were talking about the match, the moment he said, "Oh no, this is your place, you're going over," his jaw dropped. He's like, "Are you serious?" Like, you know what I mean? So the whole thing, and then you just added the extra seasoning on top with that story, man, because that's awesome.
Yeah, it was very emotional. I'm glad that I got to do that match, and I'm glad that it worked out for Merrick. He deserves it. He works hard.
He does.
You know, I know him on a personal level, and like you guys said, I'm waiting for the day he gets signed. You know.
Yeah.
To me, that's, you know, I sit and watch AEW or WWF. Why do I want to say WWF? WWE.
I still say it sometimes.
I see guys, right.
Yeah, it's habit.
WWF. Right. To see guys that I've officiated in the ring make it to that level.
Yeah.
It does my heart good. I like seeing that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're going to be able to top that story. I doubt it highly, because that's a great story. But was there any other matches that you recall over the past 20 years that you really had a great time refereeing, or you were excited leading up to it, and then afterwards you were like, man, that was just freaking awesome?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and not in any particular order, but the very first match I ever officiated. Like I said, I was 3 months into training, and it was on, Marysville Lions Club, March 17th, 2001, between Johnny Doe, who's also known as J Money, versus Insane Sam Desperately. And, I remember, I still remember the finish. I remember leading, the weeks and the days leading up to the match, how nervous I was, because once again, this is your first match. What am I going to do in front of all these people? I had hair at the time, you know what I mean? And it was starting to bald, and are people going to see the bald spot? What's going on? What am I going to do? And then my family was there, and my close friends, my fraternity brothers were there. So, I know a lot of people say, well, why does he keep mentioning fraternity? He's out of college. Yes. But when you graduate, some people leave their fraternity life behind. We still continue ours. We still keep in touch. We still live nearby. So hear me mention them. So they were there cheering me on, and that helped a lot. See my family and friends there. I was still nervous. I still remember that first 3 count. It was a double referee 3 count. And, you got to time it, I'm green. What do you mean I got to time it? I'm trying to watch this guy, It's like, I'm sure it was, to me, it felt awful. The crowd seemed to like it, so that's all that matters. But that was special to me because it was my first one. Another match that was very, very, very special to me was a match that I officiated to crown the inaugural NWA Northeast heavyweight champion. This was back when NWA still allowed territories.
Right.
And that was special to me because, well, it's the NWA, first of all.
Yeah.
Which to me, growing up, watching Ric Flair, growing up, admiring Tommy Young's work, to me, that was the promotion. I want to be in the NWA. I don't want the WWE. I want the NWA. And even as an adult in this business, 20 years later, 21 years later, you're asking me, if I hand you a contract right now, well, first of all, I'm going to take a contract. Let's say I didn't, and you handed me 2 contracts, WWE or NWA, I'm taking NWA.
Right.
To be part of that legacy in that small way was a career highlight for me. You can't see it because of the glare, but I still have my referee shirt, my NWA referee shirt.
Nice.
That's my career highlight today, because I got to be a part in a small way of a promotion that I've always wanted to work for, in a small way, in a territorial type of way.
Yeah, but still, it counts. Was the NWA?
It was, but that the NWA referees used to have those white, black and white striped shirts with the NWA match said official and NWA official referee. I said, I want that shirt. I want to earn that shirt. I wanted that shirt because that's a shirt Tommy Young wore. I want that shirt. I don't want to buy it. I want to earn it. But unfortunately, that didn't come to pass, and that's fine. That's fine. It wasn't in the cards for me to get to that level, and that's okay. I decided years ago when I reached that fork in the road, do you want to pursue, the big feds, or do you want to stay in the indies? And I had opportunities to go to the big feds, but thankfully, my wife helped me to realize what was important. And yes, this is your dream, and I don't want to smash your dream. I want you to live your dream, but know that we have children, and if you're on the road, you're going to miss soccer games. You're going to miss birthdays. You're going to miss that. We all know the stories. We hear the pros talk about these stories, and I didn't want to miss out on that stuff. So that's why I made the conscious decision to stay in the indies, and I don't regret that decision. In fact, I love her for helping me realize what was important. So, yeah, no regrets.
That's phenomenal to hear you say that. And so that leads me to what's next, because you retired, then you unretired, and so what's next?
Retirements don't stick in wrestling. It's
apparently
fine.
not. Apparently, that doesn't happen.
Thank
Ask
you.
General Kiesel that. Ask So
The Terry Funk rule: if you do it more than 5 times,
Exactly.
Right. So realistically, in your mind, like, you're just gonna keep going till the wheels fall off, or what?
I've always said to myself that I will continue to do what I do unless one of three conditions occur. One, I'm no longer having fun.
Right.
Two, I start to slow down in the ring and it's noticeable. I don't want to slow down. I like jumping around and everything. Or three, I just don't have it in me anymore. It's done. I'm done with wrestling. Really, really done with wrestling. None of those three conditions have hit. Even when I retired, none of those three conditions hit. So the retirement was more they were breaks. I didn't intend to come back from them, but they were breaks.
So what did saying that none of the three conditions were met, if I could ask then, why did you try to retire? Why did you think that was the time to retire if your three conditions weren't met?
One of the times that I retired was because I wanted my son, my oldest son at the time, was starting a new soccer. He was starting to play in a new soccer league, and this was our first time being involved in this type of league. And we started hearing these stories about, you're going to be traveling every weekend, blah blah blah, to this place, that place, and the other. And I'm like, I don't want to miss out on that.
Right.
So that was that decision, and then the others. The others were more or less, what can I do? What more can I do? I've done it all. In my mind, I've done it all. There's nothing left to do. Well, none of those three conditions were met. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll leave. There's nothing else to do. And then you're sitting at home and, you're watching wrestling and you're seeing all your friends go to all these indie shows and you're going, this is bullcrap, man. Why am I sitting here? I mean, I love my family and everything, but it's a Saturday night.
I remember there's something else I could do. I could actually do this.
I could do this. And then there were other times where I actually scared myself into retiring because I personally felt I was starting to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my biggest fear. Am I slowing down? I'm watching video of me, other wrestlers' videos that I happen to be officiating their matches. And I'm like, why am I grabbing that rope? Why is it taking me so long to get up? Do I need to go on a diet? Do I need to lose weight? Am I slowing down? What's going on? And I'm like, I got to get out while the getting's good. Before people start to notice this. And then it's like, you're killing yourself. This is what we're always more critical of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was seeing. Talking to my peers in the business, they're like, what are you, an idiot? You're not slowing down. And even though your words say you're better than blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, yeah, thank you for saying that, but I think I'm slowing down. Turns out I wasn't, after some self-reflecting. And so here I am.
Well, thank God for that.
All right, before I ask my next question, can you do me a big favor? Can you teach Lance Marshall how to count to three?
Oh, good God. Leave Lance alone.
Oh, my gosh. Lance is a good guy. He's a good guy.
No, I've talked to him, and he loves that when Keith and I call a 3WA video, and there's a difference in calling one of your matches that you officiate and one of his matches that he officiates. So I usually praise your referee acumen, and then I usually tear apart his.
Yeah.
And so that's an ongoing thing. But and then Keith always, says, "Oh, will you knock it off? Will you leave Lance Marshall alone?"
I'm going to tell him what you said.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell him what I said. I hope he watches this later, or if he's watching now, Lance. It goes 1, 2, 3. All right. Anyway,
Lance is a good guy. Listen, no, bad publicity is still good publicity. You know, as long as people are talking about you, that's all good. And Lance is a good referee. He's asked me for advice over the years, and I've been hard on Lance, and he knows that. But he also knows that it's coming from a place where I know if he continues to apply to himself, he can be better than what he is today. That's not putting Lance down at all. We've all been there. But what I'm saying is Lance can go to that next level, you know, and I tried my best to help him along the way and stuff like that. And I like Lance a lot, and he's a good referee.
I like him too, secretly. Yeah. I just want everybody to think I don't. All right.
And that's good, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you've been doing this 20 years, when we get somebody, a veteran, whether it be a wrestler, whether it be a ring announcer, referee, whatever, who's been doing this as long as you have, I like to ask the question that if you can go back and talk to yourself 20 years ago and give yourself advice, what would that be?
Don't wear white socks in the ring.
What?
Okay, it's out there. It's out there, people. Yeah. I used to wear white socks in the ring.
White socks.
And whenever I see video, that it just makes me cringe. What was I thinking? Why didn't someone say something to me? You know? But these are growing pains, you know. These are things you realize in self-reflecting. How can I make myself better? Well, here's one way. Don't wear white socks in the ring. You know. Here's another way. You know, don't walk around the ring when you get in the ring. Stand there, wait for the wrestler, make it serious. You know, I go back to Tommy Young. I go back to Earl Hebner. Did you see Earl Hebner do these things? Did you see Tommy Young do these things? No.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy Young may have worn white socks. I'm not sure. He wore white shoes. I remember that.
Yeah.
White sneakers, pony sneakers. I remember that. So I would tell my young self that. I would also tell my young self, it's going to be quite a ride. Have fun, which I do. I do enjoy it. I do. I enjoy every single minute I'm in the ring. It's going to be fun. You're going to see some wild stuff. You're going to hear some wild stuff. Wrestling's like a soap opera, so you're going to hear stories about this person, that person, that person. You know, just remember your training. Keep your eyes and your ears open and your mouth shut, and you'll be fine. Yeah. But yeah. That's what I would do.
How much do you pay attention as a fan to mainstream like AEW or WWE?
I should get my wife down here. You can ask her that question. I love AEW. I sit in my cave, I close my door, and I'm cheering. AEW, Dynamite, Rampage, I love it.
Nice.
I do DVR SmackDown and Raw so I can fast forward through the bull crap that I don't want to see.
Right.
But I'm blessed in the sense that even when I became a referee, I could still watch wrestling as a fan. I don't watch it as a worker. I don't. I take that hat off and I watch it strictly as a fan. You know, I try not to go on the internet sites, wrestling news. This was going to happen. That's going to happen. I want to be surprised, just like I when I was a teen. I want to be surprised. I don't want to know what's going to happen. Well, I am curious about the Sasha Banks story, so I try to keep up with that. But yeah, I love AEW. I can't tell you how much I love it. WWE, I've fallen out of love with the product. That's why I DVR and just watch certain matches. And then there's wrestling promotions online on YouTube that I watch. Memphis Championship Wrestling. What's the other one I watch?
You ever check out Fight TV? Fight TV has a lot of territorial wrestling.
Is that a pay?
Most of it's free. Most of it's free. They have they do have pay-per-views once in a while.
Yes.
But I mean, a lot of the Southern wrestling stuff going on in Tennessee and Alabama, Mississippi, places like that, a lot of it's free.
Yeah, I gotta watch
Okay.
more of that. I like me some Southern wrestling.
Yeah. I'll check that out.
I like that Southern style.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, they have pay-per-views once in a while. I mean, they used to have Ring of Honor stuff, but they have once in a blue moon. They have a big show where a bunch of them get together and do one big show for like $9.99 or something like that. But for the most part, a lot of it's free.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out.
So, man, we're getting ready to wrap this up. That hour goes quick. I usually don't like to keep anybody longer than an hour, especially on Father's Day. Professor, is there anything you want to ask him that we haven't asked him? Because I got maybe one more question in my arsenal.
I mean, and there's a lot of stuff where I was going to ask a question, and like in the middle of the story, Zach would already answer it, which is great. Yes. It's fun to just sit there and listen, and we appreciate that so much. We appreciate you coming on and giving us the benefit of, your experience and your wisdom. I mean, I always say, going back to the Miami match, and you're talking about your journey in it, and to me, that's what's so great about wrestling. That's what makes it such an art form, is that you've got what's happening in the ring, but then you kind of go behind the scenes. You get those like DVD extras of like, this is what everyone's journey was to get there, and it's just as fascinating and it's just as interesting as what goes on in it. And that's why I always defend to people that are like, that's fake, that's stupid. No, you don't get it. You don't understand the depth and the passion and everything that goes into that.
Yeah, I hate it when fans, you want to talk a pet peeve. I hate it. And not so much in the promotions that I've worked, but I hate it when fans say, what's that stupid phrase that they say? I can't think of it. I'll know when I hear it. This is boring? No, not this is boring. Yeah. What is that? Is that the phrase that I hear sometimes?
Just yelling, just shouting boring.
That's it. That's it.
Boring.
Yes. I hate that because, like you guys said, they have no idea what those wrestlers put themselves through to entertain. No idea. And I hate it when I don't even call them fans. I hate it when ignorant
hecklers. I call them hecklers. It's like a comedy show. If they're the guy, that's the guy that goes to the comedy show so that he can make the show all about him and try to heckle the comedian while he's up there trying to do his set. All right, those are the guys that go in, buy their ticket just so that they can try to chant goofy things.
Mm-hmm.
It annoys me, but it is part of the business, and they just just gotta brush them off and work through, right?
Right.
All right, man. Number one, man, I appreciate you joining us on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you.
Yes,
thank you.
Personally, and I love that. The entire interview, I'm staring over your shoulder at the Sixers and the Flyers logo back there, because I am also a huge Philadelphia fan of all sports, Phillies, Eagles, all that too. So I appreciated that. I appreciated all the stories that you had. I felt like we didn't have enough time because I'm sure you have a bunch more. Where are you wrestling? I'm sorry. Where are you refereeing next? Are you booked soon?
Not soon. I think the next show that I'm scheduled to work is for Triple WA. It's at the end of July.
Okay, the 30th one.
Yeah, because I work every other weekend at a retirement home, and
right.
Sometimes my work weekends hit on a show date, and it's like, what are you gonna do?
Well, the professor and I have hit every single 3WA show for the past 2 years, so we're bound to run into each other there. But when I go off the air, don't go anywhere, all right, Zach?
Okay.
Professor, yeah, you already said your parting gift, so I don't have to ask that again.
So yeah.
So with that in mind, folks, everybody, please, along the bottom of your screen, subscribe to our YouTube channel. 2M1L Media. You'll get all the interviews we've ever done and all the future interviews we ever will do. Hit that notification bell too, so you get notified as soon as we go live. Don't forget to check out Spittin' with Spitter. He's on Wednesday nights, and Home Team Sports, we're on Tuesday nights. So, check us out. We don't ever ask for anything except for you to hit that subscribe button and check us out and share us out there and get the word out, because all we want to do is expand our platform so that wrestlers, referees, announcers, promoters, everybody can come on here, tell their story, and talk some wrestling with us for an hour. Our guest tonight was the one and only referee Zack Carlucci. As many people have come on here, have called you the GOAT around here, so that is a high respect, high praise. We respect you to the max, sir, and we appreciate you talking to us for this hour. And we can't wait to see the next match that you ref.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you had a good time. The professor and I will be here next week at 6 p.m., same time, same channel. I'm the Big Albowski, Professor Keith. That's Zack Carlucci. We're out of here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.